Biden has been making some pretty interesting comments and plans about student loan forgiveness. So, Richard, fill us in on that.
That's right. So a new White House report today indicates that the Biden administration is considering forgiving $10,000 in student loan debt to individual borrowers. This comes after a process in which officials within the White House were considering how much to forgive. And just today it came out that $10,000 is the figure that the federal government is most looking at. So this would forgive a significant amount of student loan debt for maybe your average borrower. But there actually are some progressives who are upset with Biden. They want him to forgive even more. They'd prefer to see the federal government forgive up to $100,000 of student loan debt, or even more than that. So really, it seems almost like a slap in the face to the Americans who are suffering from inflation.
Yeah.
It's a political bribe, if you will, I think you could call it. But it definitely seems like an incident of Biden rewarding his supporters rather than handing an olive branch to his detractors.
Right. There's been a lot of fluctuation among Biden's supporters, especially among the younger generation. A lot of people thought that, young, white, college-educated males would be his base. But that has...
You mean females?
And females. Males and females. Actually, males is a little bit stronger. But
Interesting.
but that has wavered a little bit. So do you think that, this seems to be Biden just trying to buy back his supporters?
Yeah.
Do you think that's going to affect them, especially as we see the midterms coming up and then rolling around for the next presidential election?
Well, it is a little bit difficult to imagine a passionate, diehard Joe Biden supporter, isn't it? I don't think there really is such a thing. There's definitely, Bernie Sanders has those people for days.
Oh yeah, because of his philosophy and his idealism, something.
Yeah, so I think what Biden, the student loan forgiveness plan, that's what he's going for. He's going for that demographic, that crowd. In some senses, maybe people who have even more student loan debt than $10,000. So he's shoring up the Democratic base. That's what you want to do in front of the midterms, because the party that wins the midterms is the party that turns out their base.
Right.
So in a certain sense, it's politically, tactically, it's a wise move. But he faces the risk of exploding inflation even more and perhaps incurring even more of a red wave with impressionable swing voters. Right.
And I think to be clear, the loan forgiveness is for anybody who is making below $150,000, I believe. Or if you're a couple, if you're filing for $300,000 or less for a yearly salary. So that would be the majority of people in their 20s, who are getting out of college. Most 22-year-olds are not leaving college, entering the workforce, and making $150K their first couple of years. And so it's definitely geared towards the very young, new college graduates, not even necessarily people in their 30s and 40s as much, because if you still have debt by the time you're in your mid-30s, you're probably making a decent salary. So I think that this is definitely a ploy for just go after kind of the young and the dumb. Get the young and the dumb to be your support base to try to do anything to stop what people are predicting as the red wave coming up in November. But I feel like people can't help but see this as just exorbitant spending in the midst of inflation and just terrible economic crisis.